as you can tell, today's video is about a very popular item on my desk, my mechanical keyboard. And it's funny because in nearly every video where I feature this thing, I get so many questions about this keyboard. So in today's video, I want to talk more about my experience using a mechanical keyboard and also explore some of the reasons why you might want to invest in one, but also some reasons why you might want to hold back. So yeah, let's get to it. Now, the most common question I get about this keyboard is, what is it called? So the name of this thing is the Varmilo VA87M C Melody TKL Die Sub PBT Mechanical Keyboard. Now that is a mouthful, but basically it means the brand of this thing is Varmilo and the color theme is C Melody, which makes sense given the sky blue color and the whales and octopi on the keycaps. And I know this design is kind of quirky, but I like how it adds a little bit of personality to my otherwise bland, somewhat mismatched desk setup. And I've got this keyboard with the Cherry MX brown switches. Now this is a whole other topic, but basically the brown switches are an in-between between the blue ones, which are more clicky and loud, and the red or black switches, which are a bit quieter. So it has been a year since I got this keyboard, but I still can't think of any complaints that I have about it. It's been a really good investment, and even compared to when I first got it, I think I like it even more now. I just love the tactile feel I get when pressing the keys and the clicky sound, which can be annoying to others. And just for something I'm going to be using for 8 or 10 hours every single day, if I can find something that can bring a little bit of joy to an otherwise very mundane task of typing, I think that's worth it. So yeah, for what it's worth, I would give this a 10 out of 10 rating, but that's probably not the most useful thing, so let me break it down for you in a little bit more detail. Now, my number one favorite thing that I love about mechanical keyboards are the endless customization options. And customization is my jam. From my productivity app setups to the icons I use on my phone, I am always on the search for ways to optimize my setup to make it as functional but also as aesthetic as possible. And when it comes to mechanical keyboards, the customization options are endless. So first, when you go shopping, you can find a keyboard of every color, shape, and size. And once you've got your keyboard, you can get these artisan keycaps from Etsy to suit your nerdy, or if you're like me, foodie desires. And beyond that, you can get to the level of the folks on this subreddit with their custom mechanical keyboard creations. And some of these setups are just insane. And I am aware that there is no difference in functionality or productivity between a keyboard that looks like this or this. But for me, I just like using things that are customized to my taste, so for me, it's worth it. Now, the second point is the sound, and you're either gonna love it or hate it, but there's no denying mechanical keyboards are loud. In fact, when I compared my current keyboard to an older Apple keyboard and my MacBook, I found that this one was about 10 decibels louder. Now, with the normal or membrane keyboards, there is a thin sheet of rubber, aka the membrane, under all the keys, or an individual rubber dome beneath each key. So when you press down on a key, that layer of rubber dampens the sound, making it less loud. But with mechanical keyboards, which are the OG, by the way, that layer of rubber isn't there. So each time you press down on a key, it's a lot more audible. So yeah, back to the sound thing. So if you have a roommate or a significant other that you want to keep, the good thing is that you can address the sound issue by picking the right switches. Now there are a lot of different switches, but they basically all differ in their mechanics, aka how loud they are. And this flowchart summarizes it pretty well, so you can choose anything from annoying your coworkers to a switch that is relatively silent. And if you are worried about sound, I think the red switches are the best way to go, but if you don't share a room, I at least personally like the brown ones because they are relatively quiet, but they still have that tactile feel, which is nice. Now I put the sound factor in the advantages column because I love the distinct clickety clackety noise this keyboard makes. And it's great because even if I'm just on Messenger or tagging people in memes, when my parents pass my room, they'll at least think I'm being productive with all of these sounds. Mechanical keyboards are also undeniably well built. I mean, this one itself weighs 2 pounds, which is pretty crazy. And from what I read online, it seems like mechanical switches are tested for 30 to 70 million key presses, whereas traditional membrane keyboards have a lifespan of just 5 million. And at least anecdotally speaking, with my MacBook, I've had plenty of times where a key would get stuck or make weird sounds or not be responsive, and at that point I didn't know what to do. But here with a mechanical keyboard, because it is so modular, you can actually pick up individual keycaps and inspect the mechanics underneath. Another small advantage is the mechanical keyboards community. Now, I know it sounds a bit random, but I'm really big on this. And that's because when you are using something that is somewhat niche, having a community to go to for questions or tips and resources can be really helpful. So in this case, the mechanical keyboard subreddit or blogs or YouTube are all great places to check out. And lastly, I got a lot of questions asking whether my typing speed is any faster on my mechanical keyboard. So I did a little experiment comparing my MacBook, an Apple keyboard, and my mechanical keyboard. But the results were actually not that significant. In fact, I think my fastest speed was on my laptop at 110 words per minute, whereas on my keyboard it was 102 words per minute. So buying a mechanical keyboard isn't going to make you type any faster, and it might not make you any more efficient while you're working. But there is no denying the fact that the typing experience is incredibly unique. The combination of the tactile feel you get when pressing the key with the auditory feedback of that click is so satisfying. And in a way, the fact that I enjoy typing on this keyboard so much does kind of make me more productive. Because, hear me out, because now I actually want to come and work at my desk instead of just lounging around on my bed. Now we should probably talk about some disadvantages. And again, the first one is the sound. Now, even if the sound doesn't bother you, it probably will bother those you're living with. I know, at least for me, one time someone in the same room as me had a keyboard with blue switches, and it really got on my nerves. So if you are going to be buying a mechanical keyboard, just make sure you pick the right switches and make sure that those who you share a room with are relatively okay with it. And you know, it'll probably just grow on them over time anyways. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, the price of this keyboard is pretty steep at $131. Now, even though I hate spending any more money than I need to on anything, I can sort of justify the price based off cost of use. So if I use this keyboard for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and plan on keeping it for at least a couple of years, that makes the price shrink to about 10 cents a day. And this reminds me of an Ali Abdallah podcast I listened to a while ago, where he was talking about spending $100 on a trash can. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think the idea is that if you have the means, investing in something that can marginally improve the quality of your life or just make life a little bit easier for you is definitely worth it. And I think that is definitely the case with this keyboard. Now, there are a couple of small nitpicks that might be disadvantages to others. So this is a wired keyboard, and it also does not have RGB lighting. So for me, that is not a big deal, but if that is something that you're looking for, this might not be the model for you. And yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope that I was able to answer all of your questions about my mechanical keyboard, but if you have any other questions, either about my keyboard or anything on my desk, please let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, if you like this video, please give it a big like and subscribe. Follow me on social media if you haven't already, and I'll see ya in the next one.